and welcome to another episode of Bartending with me. I'm once again your mediocre bartender host, and I'm doing this at home with Terry and Emma here, and I feel vaguely self-conscious doing it like this way. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and move along. Today we're going to talk about a drink called the 20th Century Cocktail. It's kind of, I don't know, is this going to show up? Yeah. All right. This drink, whenever you see it mentioned a lot, like if you go to Forgotten Cocktails and everything, where I found the first iteration of it, it talks about it being named after the 20th Century Limited, which was one of the first, well, not first, it was a streamlined train. Louis Dreyfus, I think, did the streamlining design on it, on the Hudson 464s. The problem with that story is that this book, or the original book where the recipe first came up, is a British book. So I doubt very seriously it was like, oops, that it was like named after that particular train. But as you can see it was invented by somebody else, even though this book was, who was this book written by? Tarling, a British bartender, the last name of Tarling, Joseph Tarling, I think. But anyway, it works with, it's a good discussion about proportions, because if you look at the original recipe, look at that. He doesn't talk about anything like ounces or anything in there. Everything is a proportion. And when you think about drinks that way, it makes it a lot easier to mix because they scale up or they scale down. When you think of it in parts rather than absolute measures, it makes it easy. Say you wanted to make a gallon of these to take over to a party and just put them in like a gallon jug. All you have to do is multiply everything. As long as the ratios stay the same, the taste, whether you made it a total of 1 ounce or a total of a gallon, would always taste the same. Now, I'm going to try to keep this at the 2 ounce of alcohol in each classic drink, which is a good measure to go by. And I've talked about making everything metric, but we're actually going to use standard here, even though if you use metric measurements, you'll find that they work a lot better. The other thing that this drink, one of the ingredients that this drink has is crème cocoa. And that's a hard ingredient, really is. You can see I've got two here. I've got this that I bought in a pinch for something else, and it's okay, but it's not really good. It's kind of got like a fake flavor. If you can find something good, this is my favorite. This brand right here, Tempest Fugit, their chocolate liqueur is amazing, and it works great in any drink, and if you ever get a chance to try it, I recommend it. This does feel weird. My wife's sitting right over there. Say hi at least.
Hi.
Okay, so she said hi. Alright, so let's start making the drink. The drink is a gin-based drink, although I think you could make it with vodka. You just have to call it something else. And technically I'm making one big ingredient change, so I should have to call it something else too. So I'm going to call it like a 20th century minus with one ingredient substitution. Using Broker's gin. It's a great gin because it's got a high proof, so it works well with stuff. And we'll get right on to mixing it, because it's a great drink, and it works, like I said, it works well with talking about proportions. So what proportion are we going to use? We just call it something. We could make 1 part 2 ounces, make a big giant drink. We could make it 1 part 1/4 ounce, make it a smaller drink. You could do the math and set up your proportions where you wind up with a total of 2 ounces of alcohol in the drink total. And you're thinking, yeah, we're making a drink. We don't want to do vector calculus to try to figure it out. So we'll just pick a number. We'll say I'm going to make a 1/2 ounce a part. So the original proportions here are a lot different than anything that you're going to find online. Online proportions are completely different, and people do kind of mess with that, and I hope, and you can do that per the taste, but we're going to like set it up exactly like there, and then I'll show you one of the other recipes you can try. So I'm going to, like I said a half ounce is going to be a part. So the first thing says 2/5 gin. All right, so we'll make that. Since I'm going to call each part a half, I'd like to put 1 ounce of gin. Pour it in there. Then the 1 part crème de cocoa. A lot of recipes that I've seen online, which is the problem of like getting a lot of drink knowledge off the internet, is that it's just simply wrong. Like the story behind this drink. I find it hard that they would name, a British bartending book would name a drink after an American train. Especially if it wasn't that well known. Now, do we know about the C.A. Tuck guy? Maybe he was an American. Well, we just don't know. I just find it hard to believe. Even though the British were doing a lot of streamlining with trains back in the day too. Plus this drink book came out in 1938, so it was well into the 20th century, so probably we just don't know why it got the name it did. So anyway, put the half ounce in there. The next ingredient is lillet. When you see an old drink and they talk about lillet, and you go out and buy a bottle of lillet now, which is fairly easy to find, that's not the same lillet that they used to use. Lillet was reformulated, so it's a lot different than the lillet they used to put in these drinks. And the closest analog you can find now is Cocchi Americano, which is actually fairly easy to find. I have neither. So I am using this Perucci vermouth that I have. It's in between vermouth, so it is going to change the nature of the drink. So is it a true 20th century? No, but I don't have a choice. So we'll like I've said before, with vermouth, oxygen is the enemy because it's a wine. So I pour it in these plastic water bottles, and then when I squeeze the air out, I cap it, and then I put it in the fridge, and I can make it last a lot longer. It won't make it last forever, but for dry vermouth, once you open the bottle, unless you take extreme measures like this, after a week you need to dump it. There's just no hope for it. That's why when you go to a bar and they'll talk about a drink with a special vermouth. I'd rather have a drink with regular vermouth that I know that's fresh than a fancy vermouth that's stale, because it's still not going to be good. And the last but not least is lemon juice. Now, I did something different with this. I let the lemon juice age, and there's a book by Kevin Liu, I think it is, and who talked about with citrus juices like lemon and lime, most people prefer the taste after you've let it age for at least like 4 hours. I think 4 to 8 hours he talks about. So anyway, I made a ½ ounce, 1 part in this. Oh wait, wrong page. I made a ½ ounce, so 2 parts of dry gin, which makes that 1 ounce of gin, a ½ ounce of cream de cocoa, a ½ ounce of lillet, and a ½ ounce of lemon juice. And we'll shake that. Now, if you look at vintage spirits and forgotten cocktails, they mention this drink and they show the 20th century limited, which again I don't buy, but you'll see that his you'll see that his proportions are a lot different. Which, having had this setup in New Orleans, it actually worked pretty good last time I was there. So now, pour this in there. Some ice. A chilled glass. If you don't chill your glass, you're wasting your time. All right? It's like the secret between a good drink and a crappy drink. And there's this one bar in Salem, they do a great job of mixing the drinks, but they never chill their glasses, and I still haven't figured out why they do that, because it just kind of ruins it. And a bit of a lemon peel garnish. Now, if you ever get a chance to try one, I highly recommend it because it is one of my favorite drinks. I think for me, I think probably the substitution of the vermouth rather than the lillet kind of like changes the profile, and it makes it just a little bit too chocolatey with these original proportions. But again, order it the next time you're in a bar. Just look it up, and if they don't know how to make it, tell them how to make it. Have one. Trust me, you'll like it. Till next time.